We're gonna go around the room here, then we'll do online. I'm Jonathan Moore with Fountain Sanitation District. I'm the chair. I'll go here.
Angie Martell, environmental planner at PPACG.
Mark Voli with Colorado Springs Utilities.
Brandon Bernard, Security Water and Sanitation District.
Wally Eves, Woodman Hills.
Matt Dunstan, Walden Corporation.
Roy Heald, Security, Water and Sanitation Districts.
Rachel Keatley, HCR Engineering.
Justin Ficto, Colorado Springs Utilities.
Andy Buser, Colorado Springs Utilities.
Thank you. All right, folks online, alphabetical by first name. Don't be shy.
Darren Adami, Strammer Hills Water and Sanitation.
And we can't hear anything. Everyone's shy.
Well, it's
Adam
actually
Summers,
muted
Aquaworks.
everybody except a certain amount of people.
You'll have to take yourself off mute to introduce yourself. Adam, I see you're unmuted. Do you want to try?
Adam
Did you hear
Summers
the
with
first?
Aquaworks.
Boxes are lighting up like they're talking.
Yeah. They're trying.
Alright.
If you guys can hear us, we're having some technical difficulty hearing you guys, and we're gonna work on that really quick.
We are trying to talk. We can hear each other.
Can you hear me now?
Here.
Can you hear me? This is Darren.
This is Ann Esch. Can you hear me? I'm just an attendee.
Adam, can you try again?
This is Adam trying again.
Okay, just a minute.
Let me turn that off.
We
Sorry,
are
everybody.
trying to be heard.
There.
Think maybe.
Now?
Yes? Can you hear us now?
All right, go ahead.
This is
All right.
Adam.
Well, since
No. I'm gonna restart.
This is Darren Adami. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
All right, Darren Adami, Strammer Hills Water and Sanitation District.
James
All right, I think
Starnes,
we can-
respect.
Keep going.
Peter
Kevin Brown, Sheriff Metro.
Connie King, law firm.
Roger Sams, GMS.
Peter Clarkson, Respec.
Caleb Patterson, Green Mountain Falls.
This is Adam Summers. Can you hear me now? Wonderful.
All right, I think we got everybody. Thank you. It appears that we have a quorum. Angie, are you good with that? Okay. All right, the agenda. I heard we have a couple little changes here. Angie, go ahead.
Okay, so we had to move the time of this meeting because of the meeting that's going on downstairs, and we have some folks downstairs that want to attend this meeting as well. So we moved the time of the meeting and we need to move the agenda around to cover our discussion items before the action items.
So we're gonna swap 6 and 5.
Yes.
Good. Anybody heartburn with that? Can I get them? Is that the only changes you have? Any other changes that anybody has? Hearing none, can we get a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Thank you.
I'll
Second,
second.
thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, thank you. Item number 3, approval of the meeting minutes from October 15th, 2025. Any changes, any corrections? Hearing none. All right, can we get a motion to approve those?
I'll
Move to
make-
approve the minutes.
Okay,
Second.
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Item number 4, public comment. Anybody have anything that's not on the action items today they'd like to bring up? Okay, so we're gonna go to item number 6, discussion items. 6A is feasibility and implementation data request update. Angie.
All right, so, Mark, thank you for reminding me that I need to update you guys on this thing that's going on through CDPHE. So you guys probably already know, but just for anyone who isn't aware, the CDPHE is conducting their feasibility and implementation project, I don't know, research, and data collection associated with that, to evaluate the economic feasibility of implementing different treatment things. So some updates from that, we had last asked them to develop some sort of a formal letter asking for the data, which they didn't do. So I don't think we're also gonna get that. Instead, they have just basically a website. So you can go to their website and see that it's a thing that they're doing. They did put together they did put together a form online, and I can share that link with you guys if you're interested in putting your data into that. And a couple other things that I'll get to. But a few updates from that, they're looking at, they're working with an economic development consulting firm to see if they can simplify the FCA guidance that they're using to work on this. And basically the answer to that is no, but they're looking at ways to make their data collection a little more efficient and easier for you all if you want to support and provide data. They also hired a temporary employee to help collect economic data, and they're focusing on the smaller communities first. So they're expanding the data set to be representative of the state and to identify economic trends and similarities. And then some of the stuff you guys already know about informing policy decisions. They're exploring whether they can develop a modified economic evaluation process based on the FCA to reach similar conclusions with less complex steps. They're also, with the NWRI report, they're also developing they're calling it a lagoon ladder document, which is focusing on technologies for lagoon facilities. And the goal of that is to provide more resolution around lagoon technologies, including low cost and operations and maintenance solutions, and create materials for small and rural communities to help lessen the burden for things like completing an alternative analysis. So they're working on that. They're hearing those comments, especially, I know Green Mountain Falls is on the call, so you might be happy to hear that. And then they plan, as far as timeline, they're working on this through June of 2026 for phase 1 and aligning it with the WQCC rulemaking in June. And then they'll start phase 2 after that. So that gets us back to data collection, which is where I initially brought this issue to you guys. So they do have an online form, which they're supposed to send me the link to it, but it's basically a Google form. Supposed to take you less than an hour and a half to complete if you're interested.
They said 2 to 4 hours, but 2 to 4 weeks is a little more accurate.
So I saw that too, and we, as the 208, we meet with all the state 208 agencies, and we've told them already, like, nobody's gonna do this. And it's way too complex. There's no way you're gonna get this. So it's available if you want it. Did you have?
I was just gonna add that there's 2 different data requests, right? Like there's the plant performance from the NWRI feasibility, and then this is the financial one, right? So there's 2 separate requests.
Yeah.
HDR is managing the 2 to 4 hour, the 2 to 4
Yeah,
hours.
and this is a different one.
Right, and then this is from,
CDPHE directly
Yeah.
from their feasibility and implementation group.
Oh,
They've
yeah.
got so many similar things going on right now. It's hard to keep track of them all.
well, that one, they kind of made the request, but then didn't, and then it sounds like they still haven't made the formal request.
Instead, they just
Okay.
developed their webpage
So
instead.
there's another one coming.
Okay.
So, and they're not gonna have a formal request, no formal letter. It's just their, showing up to meetings, their website, all that stuff. So, and they're working through 2A agencies for us to sort of get it to you guys. So, the other thing that they're asking for in this, if you don't want to complete the online form, the one thing that we could provide, if you're interested, so PPACG recently updated your service area maps for the 208 plan, so we already have shape files of all your service areas, however accurate those are. And so the one thing that they're asking for, if we can provide nothing else, is to provide shape files of your service areas. And they're saying that a lot of your service areas are complex and don't always align with census boundaries. So this could help them just improve their accuracy on the analysis that they're already going to be doing anyway. So I would not share that stuff unless you wanted me to, but if you wanted me to, I could also send it to them to make so that you wouldn't have to do it. So I guess the ask there is, do you want me to send your shape files to them?
That's gonna be in the
It's already in the 208 plan, but it's as a PDF. They want it as the map file.
How do you convert it from a PDF to a map?
Well, you start with the map and then you convert it to a PDF. So
Oh.
we already have, we had to
you
do all the
already
mapping.
have the map,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
you would be able to just,
Yeah, we just already have that
But-
from what we already worked with the group in updating that portion of the 208 plan.
what would be the reason why communities wouldn't want you to share it? Because would it not be accurate, or would it?
That's a good
Cause an
question
issue?
for everyone.
If it's not up to date, then they probably need to take some time to do that, but I have no problem sharing it in my district.
I don't have concerns.
Yeah.
If you'd like to do it, one less thing I gotta do.
Yeah.
Does anyone online have input on those shape files?
Somebody has their hand raised, I think.
Roger? Are you able to unmute?
We can't hear you, Roger, if you're saying anything.
Roger, you should be able to unmute yourself. If you're on a phone, I think you push *6. I don't know if that's the case. Unable to. Okay, do you want to follow up with me on email? Yes, no?
We just had you there, you got it.
I'll follow up with you on email. I'm sorry about that. Our technology today is working against us.
Yeah, maybe just
Let Cheryl know.
put
Real
it,
quick.
a lot of chat, and Angie will probably see
Yeah.
your chat.
I think the chat is disabled.
Oh, it is. Disabled, is that what she said?
Yeah, like people can't
Yeah.
put stuff in there, because sometimes it gets, for some reasons, they don't want you throwing in things.
Crazy things.
I mean, 2 months ago, it was doing the same thing, and there was something they did that fixed it. I can't remember what it was, but exact same thing, yeah.
Unplugged it and plugged it back.
They hit it with a hammer.
That's all. It works more than it takes. I don't understand the technical stuff, but I do understand how to plug something in and out.
All right, sorry, folks online. We'll keep working on it.
Okay.
You have anything else?
That's it for, I'll follow up via email in case someone else online wanted to mention something and just maybe I'll send out a poll just to make sure everyone is on board with that. So I just want to get everyone's okay before we do that.
Yeah, maybe I got this thing.
There we go.
Oh, there
you go.
Did it work? Okay, yeah. Only had 9 choices. I finally got to the 9th one. I guess I would just suggest that the entities have an opportunity to review those shape files before they went out. I wouldn't want to try to go back to the state and try to give them revised ones. That just gets to be a mess. So if we could have some review opportunity for what you guys have put together, that would be, I think, useful.
Yeah, ideally, for sure. And we have those maps prepared. We were just making some last minute changes this week, actually. So my plan is to have you review those maps anyway. So good call. I'll send those out. Or we can review them at our next December meeting. Any other input?
All right. Thank you. Item 6B, Water Quality Management Committee meeting schedules.
All right, so a few updates. We tried to move this meeting. As you guys know, I sent out the poll. We talked about it a lot. And we have sort of landed on the third Wednesday of the month, and that we kept for the remainder of November and December because of holidays. So however, in 2026, that meeting time, we're gonna have to go back to our original because that meeting time doesn't work for our vice chair of this committee or a couple other folks who are on the committee. So we'll go back to the fourth Wednesday in 2026. Any objections, problems? Okay, all right. We'll send those out. That's all I got there.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, so we're gonna go back to item number 5. Is that okay? Or do you want us to keep going?
No,
We're good? Okay. Action items 5A, Waterbury Metropolitan District Lift Station. Peter.
It's option number 9.
Sorry about
Peter?
that. I had my
Oh, there we go.
microphone up.
There you
We
go.
can hear you now. He got
Good
the
morning,
option.
everybody. So I think most of the members of this committee have seen the presentation for the Waterbury lift station before. Did you want me to run through the entire thing or a quick version of it?
Yeah, go ahead and go through it. There is some people here that weren't here before, so
Yeah.
please.
So this is going to be the Waterbury lift station on behalf of the Waterbury Metropolitan District Number 1, formerly known as the Four-Way Ranch Metropolitan District Number 2. So if you see either of those names, they're referring to the same project. The applicant is a company called ACM ALF 8 JV Sub 2 LLC, applying on behalf of the Waterbury Metropolitan District Number 1. Again, the same as the Four-Way Ranch Metropolitan District Number 2. The development's going to include 1,350 single-family units at full build-out, planned over a timeline of about 5 to 7 years. So the lift station and force main proposed in this project are going to serve this development. They're going to discharge into the manhole that ties into the Woodman Hills wastewater treatment system. This is the service area in green. The brown area is currently served by individual septic systems. So here is a more zoomed out version so we can see the force main as well. The lift station is in the bottom right corner of that green section. And the lift station, or the force main, is going to be about 2 miles long to the Woodman Hills Metropolitan District wastewater treatment facility. And please interrupt me if anybody has any questions. So the build out, I think I said, was going to be built out in 5 to 7 years earlier. It's actually 7 to 10. I misspoke. I apologize for that. But the projected service area population is about 3,500. Here are some details on the projected average daily flow and peak hourly flow, and the organic loading. So consequentially, we are going to be applying for these numbers in the permit at 0.232 million gallons per day, a permitted peak hourly flow of 403 gallons per minute, and permitted average daily loading at 620 pounds of BOD per day. As noted, this wastewater is going to be treated by the Woodman Hills wastewater treatment facility. Their permitted capacity is 1.3 million gallons per day. This development would bring, their loading is currently at 70.7% for hydraulic loading, and their organic loading is about at 55%. So this project will bring their hydraulic loading up to about 89% and their organic loading up to about 75%. And it should be noted that the Woodman Hills Metropolitan District is making active efforts to increase their capacity. So because we're getting above that 80% hydraulic capacity, they are focusing on that. So the lift station is going to be a dry well, wet well configuration. The pumps are going to be roughly able to do 370 gallons per minute at 204 total dynamic feet of total dynamic head, about 50 horsepower pumps, and capable of passing 3-inch solids. 3-phase power will be available to the site, and the lift station will feature 3 to 3.5 hours of emergency storage, with a plan to expand that in the future if necessary. And this 3 to 3.5 hours of emergency storage is at build out.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, go for it.
I believe you mentioned that the peak flow is 403 gallons per minute, but the individual pump is capable of
doing
370 gallons per minute. Do you anticipate running multiple pumps to meet that peak hour flow?
So there's going to be 2 pumps, but right now we're just planning on running it on 1 pump. 2 would be an emergency situation. I think during peak hourly flow, it's assumed that the wet well would just fill up a little bit more, but it'd still be able to keep up before going into the emergency storage.
Okay. Do you know your wet well volume off the top of your head?
I don't. I can look it up pretty quickly though.
Okay.
Sorry. Or actually, it might be in Appendix H of your report. Sorry, Appendix J. So I'll pull that up really quickly. The volume of wet well per foot is going to be 630 gallons. I don't see the entire volume off this, so I'll have to look it up in the plans. Am I able to get back to you on that?
I think that's more of a design decision, probably. It just
Okay.
jumped out to me a little bit that the pump capacity and the peak hour flow didn't seem to match, so.
Right, so that second pump will definitely turn on.
Again, if need be.
It'll,
Which
yeah.
then means you don't have adequate redundancy if on a daily basis you're
Right.
relying on 2 pumps. So I think that's a design decision. I mean, while you guys are gonna own this station long term, right? So I'm fairly comfortable saying it's a design decision and Woodman
Right.
can manage that, but I don't know if the
Is
rest
there
of the group's
room to
comfortable
add
with
a third pump if you had to? If you start burning out pumps?
Not in the current design, but we could alter it.
I can speak up here. Yeah, the intention, this is James with respect. Yeah, the intention is to buffer it with the existing wet well capacity, that 370 gallons a minute. The expectation is listing the firm capacity of that pump. Firm capacity of the base design pump is slightly above that flow rate, but yeah, that is a design decision that we will go over with Woodman Hills.
Yeah, I'm
And I
probably
should
this
note-
is on this question, but
No, it's good. This is, you know,
This is Kevin Brown from Cherokee Metro. I'm a little concerned by the low gallons per foot of storage, and just sort of back of the envelope, it seems like even with 2 pumps, you would be filling that wet well, and at peak flow, or if there's an I&I event, you might be overtopping that wet well regularly. But we'd have to see the actual volume of the wet well to make that determination.
Yeah, so I will work on looking that up during this meeting. But
So
I'll go
I
ahead
have a quick question for you, Peter. This is Jesse at Woodmore Water.
Yes.
Just maybe a better question for you is, why was 370 gallons a minute chosen for the capacity of each pump when the peak hour flow was determined at 403, about 33 gallons a minute greater? And then 2, a quick back of the envelope calculation says you need about 2,000 gallons of wet well storage prior to the overflow elevation in order to arrest the peak hour flow if you want to maintain these 370 gallon a minute pumps. So I'm a bit concerned with that.
Okay, for the first question, 370 gallons per minute came from the minimum scour velocity flow that we would require. So at 370, we're getting that minimum of, I believe it's designed for 2 to 2.5 feet per second. James, do you want to speak up on that?
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to navigate without a mouse, the auxiliary storage attachment. Yeah, the flow rate of those pumps was obviously targeting at least a minimum flushing velocity, like Peter was describing in the force main.
Sure, but bigger pumps would just increase your velocity above the minimum threshold you're trying to maintain.
Are we comfortable saying that, like, in design, that we would just recommend that they take a look at like slightly larger pumps in design to see if we
Right.
can find a curve that fits the application a little better?
Yes,
Okay.
we can make that recommendation.
Yeah, and I should note as well that the user characteristics that were used to develop that 403 peak hour flow are definitely conservative as well. So if that's worth anything.
So I think moving forward, if you can address the concerns and
Yes.
email it to Angie, and she'll get it to all of us to look at.
So there's a problem with that. Yes, I could do that if you send it to me by today. Because CAC is next week, and if you
Right,
want to
that's-
get to
thank you.
CAC, then the water quality needs to verify that today in order for you to attend CAC next week. Otherwise, we can push to the following month.
I can get that to you today.
And is the water quality committee prepared to do sort of an online approval of that? Because I could do it via
We would
email.
do,
I'd like to be just make clear the ask to.
you're breaking up if you're speaking. What I was gonna
Sorry,
say-
yeah,
oh,
this
go ahead.
sorry, this is James Respec. Yeah, just it'd be helpful if that's how we're moving forward, just to make clear what the ask is. If it's to confirm the firm capacity in the pumps, verify the available wet well volume during peak hour flow is adequate to absorb that. I mean, both of those are readily doable here. But yeah, I just want to make sure that ask is clear.
Yeah, me too.
Did that sound right?
I mean, that does sound right. Again, this is kind of getting into design decisions, so I'm sorry for like bringing this up, but so I think either clarifying that or just noting that, this is a basis of design pump. This isn't necessarily the final pump. And I assume there's other options or impeller sizes that, through the design process, maybe that's the more appropriate place to deal with it.
Right. I mean, this went through SARC, which is kind of that technical, but
Right. That would
this also has technical, you can ask technical questions here too, so.
Well, if it
Everything's
makes
on the table
any-
here at this meeting.
if it makes anybody feel a little bit better, right? Like the pump curve has versus the the system curve, we're looking at a few additional feet of head at that, say, 410 gallons a minute that guys are looking at for the peak hour flow. That pump output, with the additional head, because the firm capacity is the maximum static head at our design flow. Those pumps are able to to hit that peak hour flow. You know, not with that little bit of extra static head maybe, but once that wet well starts to fill up, that flow rate will be able to increase.
Okay. I'm not able to open the report right now, so I can't look at that pump curve, but I think if if the design engineer is saying that at peak hour conditions, the pump is able to, maybe it's not a normal duty point for the pump, but it's able to meet that point, then I'm pretty comfortable with that.
Okay. Anyway, at the end of the day, the engineer signing and stamping this is responsible.
Mhm.
And Wally and his group will make it known if it's not working right. But these are
Appreciate
good
the
questions
questions
to
though.
talk
These,
about.
yeah,
That's why we're here.
yeah, absolutely great questions. So appreciate the input.
So we're all
Really,
good.
really quick, if anybody is interested, here's our kind of preliminary pump curve. So this is not a final, but we can include this in an
I
appendix
can't
if
read
that.
from here, so.
Yeah, it's too small to see, but again, I would
Even like
defer to you
No,
guys
that's
on that
okay.
one.
Yeah. Okay, no, that's good. All right, any other questions? The applicant here.
All right, I'll go ahead and continue.
Okay.
So we left off at the second bullet point, talking about how the peak hourly flow is going to be about 403 gallons per minute. We are planning for our pumps to be 370 gallons per minute, which we will review. But they're going to be approximately 50 horsepower pumps. Three-phase power will be available to the site. The lift station will feature 3 to 3.5 hours of continual emergency storage at build out. It'll be fenced in and feature SCADA control and telemetry communication. Odor and corrosion control will be on site in the form of bioxide. And then the wet well level will be controlled with an ultrasonic level sensor along with float emergency backups. Here's some geotechnical data for the area. Groundwater was encountered at a pretty high depth or low depth, I guess. So construction is anticipated to be a little difficult, but we've accounted for that in our design. So for the lift station construction, ACM ALF 8 JV Sub 2 LLC right now owns the land, which the proposed lift station will be on, but they intend to give or dedicate the land to Woodman Hills Metropolitan District upon completion of construction. Waterbury Metropolitan District number 1 will assume the financial responsibility for the construction. And then upon completion, again, it'll be dedicated to Woodman Hills. Last meeting at the SARC committee, we talked about a letter from the company with a letter of intent to dedicate the land, which is now included in Appendix D. We went ahead and fixed that old version of the report. And the lift station will be outside of the designated 100-year floodplain, as shown in this figure. So as noted, this development will include mostly single-family detached houses. It's a PUD development. Here's a 1-mile radius. So Woodman Hills will be the long-term owner and operator of the proposed lift station. They're going to operate and maintain the facility as part of its overall service area and pay for all O&M costs through the sewer rates that they will get. The contingency operations consist of duplex pumps, reliable 3-phase power, more than 3 hours of emergency storage at build out, backup power generator with an ATS, so generator will be on site. There's a backup pump quick connect for emergency pumping, so if required, you could have a trailer pump pull up to the site and actually pump out of the wet well, and the cam lock connection would go directly into the force main. And then along with all that, there's going to be the SCADA communications with telemetry communication. And here is our implementation schedule. Let me know if anybody else has questions about anything.
Thank you, Peter. Any other questions?
I just have one, Jonathan,
Yeah,
and I'm just curious. I don't really have a disposition on it, but I'm curious, Peter, why did you go with backup power generation and overflow storage?
I actually can't speak too much on the design. So this is actually the third time that this lift station is going through the permitting process. It was designed back in 2018, I think, originally. James can speak more on it. But I think it was just the more redundancy, the better. And I think Woodman Hills would feel better about that.
I like your answer, Peter. This is James, respect. Yeah, for a lift station, we do focus on redundancy, backup power. Serves its purpose for a period of time. If there's ever any issue with backup power, having auxiliary storage makes a difference, can make a difference. That's also the reason for the quick connect off the force main, so that we can pump directly from the wet well and leverage both that volume and the auxiliary storage and keep wastewater moving for the community.
This is Roger. I might add to Jesse's comment. The overflow storage provides some capability when we have actual electrical gear failure, not just power source. So if we got a starter blowout, VFD goes dead, lightning strike damages basic electrical gear. The overflow storage is there for that. Doesn't make any difference whether we've got standby power or not. If we can't get it to the motors don't work.
I guess that's the answer I was expecting to hear, Roger, but more redundancy is certainly better. Agree with Peter's comment. Thank you, guys.
thank you, Jesse and Roger. Anybody else? Comments? Questions? Okay, I'll bring you back to the committee here. Wally, you're good with everything on this?
For now, yep.
Okay. I know you can get more in the weeds and stuff, so. Is there a motion on the floor someone like to make?
I make a motion to provide a favorable recommendation to, is it to the CAC or to the full PPACG? Okay. That's what I'd do.
I'll second.
Okay, good. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? None. It's a vote online. All right, thank you, guys. All right, item 5B, Colorado Springs Utilities Northern Monument Creek Interceptor. Steve.
Yep, filling in for Steve today.
Okay,
On the screen.
tell us your name again.
Rachel.
Rachel, thank you.
Yep. I will respond to Steve if he.
There's hard questions, be like, where's Steve?
All right, so similar to Waterbury, I'll run through the whole presentation. I know some have seen it before, some haven't. Here today to talk about the Northern Monument Creek Interceptor and Middle Tributary Station Interceptor connection. Big mouthful. Our interceptor alignment is shown in pink on the screen. As you can see, we are mainly on the United States Air Force Academy property, or USAFA. We have a connection at the north to a shared main between Priview Metro District and Forest Lakes Metro District. And then we run all the way down and then connect at a point at the south at an existing aerial crossing of Pine Creek. As part of this project, we will have a gravity connection from Middle Tributary Lift Station. It'll be a gravity connection, essentially diverting flows away from that aging lift station and flowing by gravity across I-25 into the new interceptor. So long-term, we're looking to transfer over flows from a bunch of aging lift stations in the vicinity. We're looking at 5 potential future lateral connections for Smith Creek, Ewell, Monument Branch, Black Spore 1 and 2, and Kettle Creek. Quick note on design permitting. So we're running through the CDPHE site location application in tandem with this 208 process. I know control of site was asked last time at the SARC. So currently we have a letter of support from Falcon Commerce Center, the private developer on the north side of the project, just north of USAFA. And then we have documentation between Colorado Springs Utilities and USAFA for a right of access and construction. And then the last piece of the puzzle that we're working on is a similar agreement with the city of Colorado Springs. We touch one of their parcels at the very south end of that connection, but we don't anticipate it being hard to achieve that since, you know, utilities and the city work pretty closely together. Yeah. We've also completed the NEPA permitting, so National Environmental Policy Act. That was completed in 2024. And then we're wrapping up the 404 permit this spring. And then exciting news with El Paso County is we recently confirmed with them that they won't be needing a 1041 review with this project. We'll just be coordinating closely with them on matters relating to the Santa Fe Regional Trail that runs parallel to some of our alignment. So things like trail detours, closures, logistics related to that. And Justin, I can let you talk on land use.
Sure. Up on the screen here, we have projected land uses for the service area. And its NMCIs will serve the area shown in red. Land uses are pretty typical of the city and Tri-View's district and Forest Lakes district. These were what we really relied on Tri-View and Forest Lakes to give their flow projections. And we've used our own internal planning resources to develop future flows for Colorado Springs. We have programmed in some allowance for if it's a big underlined if USAFA were to join, there's room in this pipe for that. They cannot weigh in on that decision since they were our reviewer for the NEPA. And it would be a decision that we anticipate further down the road, several years out. Yep. So currently, this would be, well, we're showing here what the population served will be. Some of this flow is already, some of this population is already being served in Colorado Springs utilities. It's transmitted to the James D. Phillips Water Resource Recovery Facility via lift stations. Those lift stations, as Rachel mentioned, are aging, and some of this growth is projected to make those lift stations under capacity. This is our proposed resolution to address both aging infrastructure and growth concerns within Colorado Springs utilities. Ultimately, we will be serving about 50,000 people within this area.
A quick summary of the flow contributions. This table has not changed since this meeting last week.
This is Kevin Brown from Cherokee Metro. I have a quick question.
Sure.
Yeah.
So in the service area, you were showing the academy, but it's not listed in that table. Is the academy being served by this project?
There, can you go through the table? So when we have put into the table, where Kettle Creek gravity connection, that does include some of the USAFA flows.
All right, thank you.
Along the same line, I thought I understood Denali could participate, but they're not.
Yeah, there was regional support for this project up to a point. When we issued design agreements is when people started falling off, mostly citing financial concerns. We respect, you know, the decisions that those districts made for their customers. Denali was one of those that was included in the initial phases and then had opted to not participate. So their Denali flows have not been included in these future flow projections, and we would cross that bridge if Denali decided to join in the future. And there would probably be extra requirements for Denali should any upgrades be required, is what I would anticipate.
Were there any others that could but chose not to? Any significant?
Most of the entities in the north that go to the Tri-Lakes treatment facility were included. So that included Monument, Palmer Lake, Woodmore districts. They opted to pursue alternative methods for their customers' future needs.
And I guess, and I'm just thinking out loud because I really have no idea how the process works, but I think CDPHE would like to promote regionalization as much as possible, and I just wonder if they would push back on that at all once it gets to them. Maybe nobody has the answer to that, but I'm just curious how that's gonna go.
That is yeah, I don't know how that'll go. And I don't know if we can, I don't think we're in a position to force it.
Right, yeah, and I don't know that we are either. I guess we wait till it gets to the state, and see what happens, but again, that's part of the purpose, I think, of what we do is try to head stuff like that off, but in this case, I don't think it's appropriate for us to do so.
Can I add to that?
Mm-hmm.
So regulation 22, which is the site location, does have a whole section on encouraging the regionalization and what's the word? Consolidation, thank you. So I would just suggest you have that well explained of why consolidation is not, why you're not doing that.
Okay.
Because it is, you probably have a handle on it, but it is mentioned in Reg 22.
Yep. And I think our main reason is we did start out on a consolidated footprint and people were involved and included in that original, and it was decisions made by individual districts to participate or not participate.
And CDPHE has seen our initial site location application and has been okay with it so far as well. Couple quick project details. So NMCI, the interceptor itself is about 8.5 miles of 30-inch pipe. And that lateral connection from mid-trip lift station is about 1,300 feet of 12-inch pipe. We have a number of trenchless crossings on the project, going under roadways or creek crossings. Those creek crossings tend to have Preble's meadow jumping mouse habitat associated with them. So we have 7 tunnels and 5 horizontal directional drills planned as part of the project. And then project schedule, we just delivered 90% design last Friday to utilities. Our CMGC is working on that GMP cost estimate right now. We are anticipating construction drawings in March of next year, with construction mobilizing a few months after that, and then an anticipated construction duration of 2 years. Any follow-up questions?
Anybody online have anything? I'm assuming we can hear them.
Meeting hands raised.
Okay, that's good. All right, hearing no questions or comments, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to move the Northern Interceptor, whatever it's called.
Northern Monument Creek Interceptor.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, good.
I'll second. I think it's a good project. It's been a long time coming and
But ask,
I think
yeah.
it'll be a good thing.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
That was an aye. Yep.
Is that an aye?
Yeah, I think that was an aye.
Yes, sorry, just a little late.
I tried to wait, but sometimes it's. All right, thank you, guys. All right, item 5C, the Walden wastewater treatment plant. Before we get to the applicant on that one, I want Angie just to kind of give us an overall view of this, because we've already heard this once. It went to PPACG, now it's back to us. Kind of give us a
Yeah.
little rundown on that.
So the application has gone, it went through the SARC, went to the water quality, went back to the SARC, went back to water quality. Then it went to CAC, 2 weeks ago, I believe. And so the CAC when they heard it last, had agreed with the issues that were raised through, this process, which, the main issues being the sludge issue on site, as well as the financial plan, long-term operations and maintenance plan. So they had concerns with that as well. And sending it back, excuse me, to this committee to either develop conditions of approval, which will carry with the application through to the CDPHE. So we need to either define very specifically what those conditions of approval are. Or secondly, if we don't do that, the applicant alternatively could provide necessary information to demonstrate to your satisfaction that that financial plan and the sludge issue has been addressed. So the applicant did provide a few more things which are in your packet, and it's up to this group to decide if that is sufficient to address your concerns with financial plan and sludge, or if not, then what are those conditions of approval very specifically that we need to send along with this application?
Thank you, Angie. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to the applicant. Oh, sorry, one more thing.
Sorry, I forgot. After the CAC, I reached out to CDPHE to ask what they normally would ask for in terms of a financial plan. And because this is a privately funded, a private entity, their requirements are in a different section of Reg 22 or the implementation policy that guides Reg 22. And so they gave me a list of 10 things that they would typically ask an applicant in this situation for. And I can show you that list if you want. This is what CDPHE would ask for. This is not necessarily what we would ask for. So what we would ask for would be something that aligns with our 208 plan and just makes you all feel good about that this has been addressed. So I can read through those or show them online.
You can just read through
Okay.
them really quick.
All right, so itemization of projected expenses and revenues, including costs such as equipment, operation and maintenance and required sampling. Comparison of all anticipated wastewater revenues and planned expenditures for a 20-year period or some other clearly defined future planning period. Identification of reserve accounts for emergencies, replacement funding and operation and maintenance funds. Access to public and private financial capital. Revenues must be greater than costs, including an operating ratio greater than 1.0, operating revenue, operating expense divided by, and coverage ratio greater than 1, total revenue minus operating expenses divided by debt service. 6 is current outstanding debt and ability to borrow funds. 7 is periodic financial audits. 8 is annual development and utilization of budget, and 9 is rate structure based on customer flow and or waste type and capital improvements plan. So that's what CDPHE would ask for in this situation, just for your reference. So I'll turn it over now.
Okay, thank you. I'll turn it over
Thank
to the
you.
applicant.
So we have Adam Summers, our engineer here, in case there's any technical questions. I think I can give a quick overview. This has already been before you and a lot of questions have been answered and addressed. I guess I would start by saying I really enjoyed sitting here and listening to all this. I'm very interested in this world, and I don't know what that says about me or anybody else, but I really like it. At some point, it may be fun to help serve this at some future time. For the CSU Northern Interceptor, when we began to look at this project here, we actually got to be very familiar with those permutations of possibilities as we were considering regionalization ourselves. And so it's interesting to listen because I get a lot of the reasons why some of those northern communities, and that does have a little bit of effect on us. And we're about 5 miles away, so it would be hard for us to do a lift station and pump wastewater to there. And after a lot of consideration, we've decided to keep it locally. Just a quick background. The Walden development began in the early 60s, and it started out as a lagoon system. In 1986, they went through this process and upgraded to an SBR. That was 39 years ago. And based on health department, state health department requirements and just a necessity for updating, we're now going to an MBR. So we're upgrading the plant to an MBR. And working with probably New Terra and certainly Adam Summers, and really enjoy the process. It's going very well. In particular, when we most recently came before you guys, I really appreciate the thoughtfulness of this board and the questions, and it has been suggested that I talk to individuals concerned, and I talked to Roy, and I've talked to Steve Schleicher, and I've talked to Welling Clark on each of those things. And I believe we've answered the questions to their satisfaction. I think Jonathan had suggested talking with the individuals and specifically getting a sense of the concerns. And like when Angie had listed all the items in the CDPHE, we pretty much we've got all of that understood and addressed. And a lot of them are addressed in the letter. In this particular case, so the Walden wastewater system, again, it began in the early 60s. It's a development-based thing. There is a metropolitan district in place that has the capability of eventually owning and operating this system. Metropolitan districts look at a lot of engineering stuff before they accept it. And what our goal is to get this in up-to-date standards so that review engineers who look at that on behalf of the metropolitan district sometime in the future give approval to this. And so I guess I would say, I think we've addressed the questions as it pertains to sludge. We've addressed the questions as it pertains, we have a letter from Integrity Bank and Trust saying that basically this is funded on a draw basis so that it's funded as work progresses, just like any other construction project that's funded by a bank. And every month, there's inspections as funding and draws occur. So, I know that historically years ago, there's been some issues with maybe something that happened or funds that were misused or something like that. Oh, it's somebody out in the hall. So we've got a letter from the bank, and we've got a lot of the stuff Angie mentioned in this CDHPE requirements. Probably most of those are addressed just in the summary of costs. And I talked with Jonathan about, just putting together a summary of costs and just kind of describing, that. And so I think we've pretty well done that, but I don't know if anyone has any questions. I've spoken individually with individuals who have had concerns, so I don't know if anyone had any questions or any other thoughts. Adam Summers is obviously here as well.
Questions?
The list that Angie read through, I think those things may or may not be in here. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I saw them in the form that I would expect to see now. I didn't see a 20-year plan. Is there a 20-year plan?
So of the list of things on there, I think the 20-year plan specifically was not outlined in that. That wasn't something that Jonathan and I talked about. However, it would be easy enough to put that thing together, and for CDPHE, we'd be glad to do it. The modeling works very well. I mean, it's going to be probably $3 to $4 million for this, and it's going to be obviously paid by ratepayers, just like any other entity would. And that's, as you could see, eventually there could be about 500 homes. That's not going to be a huge deal to fund and capitalize that. We believe the operation, the O&M on this will likely be less than what our present O&M is. So I think we'll be in good shape for that. We've done some internal stuff, Roy, but if someone wanted something that looked more official, we could certainly put that together for the CDHPE as well. But just from a very simple 30,000 foot perspective, it's basically an upgrade to a plant that we believe is going to be more efficient. And right now there is no debt, and there is cash on reserves, and the utility provider is in good, solid financial shape and always has been.
Really?
Go ahead. Sorry.
We're probably going to ask the same question.
Okay.
So if I understand your list right, CDHP is going to review all 10 items.
And we appear before them later.
With the applicant, right? And go over each one of those?
I don't know the extent that they go over it together, but this is what the CDBG would request.
Okay, so they do have to submit all 10 of those.
Yep.
To see, and it should be reviewed. I mean, if they're asking.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the thing I was.
Sorry, right.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, I think fundamentally we need that stuff if we're going to try to move this forward, especially with where we've been. Angie, can you bring up the application and go to page 766? Because this is the stuff I understand. These pump graphs, that means nothing to me.
What? Those are the best. Come on.
Once we start talking about dollars,
That's right.
man, I thought I saw in here that it was, north of $6 million for the,
Maybe in final, first of all, we don't know exactly
Yeah,
what it's going to
Adam
cost,
said
what existing systems may be utilized. I don't know if Adam Summers could weigh in on that, but,
I saw that number somewhere and I couldn't find it.
I think that
again,
may be
but-
a cap. Sometimes when you do these projects, as you all can imagine, and you've seen these projects, sometimes they do a projection for the ultimate worst case scenario and maybe ultimate, but right now, it's less than that. And even if it was north of $6 million, the financial modeling still does work. It's a relatively small, amount for what we're, doing here. Yep. Thank you. Yeah,
Thank you. This is the only thing that I really saw
sure.
close to a budget.
Yep. That's
And
right.
it shows, net monthly income of
Right.
almost 4,000.
Yep.
Projected annual net of
Right.
46,000.
Mhm.
I guess that's all well and good, except
Sure.
under revenue, $54 a month times 285 customers is only 15,390.
Sure.
Which if your expenses are 16,891, it means you're losing money.
I have to take a look.
I checked it twice.
Okay. So I guess what I would say is for future, revenue, obviously the rates can be adjusted to adapt for whatever's necessary for operations.
I don't know if anybody saw the annual O and M. I thought I saw annual O and M in here. And it
How
was
many-
I thought it was 6 figures, but I couldn't find it again.
Oh, hold on a second. Let me just see something really quick here.
But the stuff that I saw, it's north of a $6 million project is what I saw in the application. The bank has agreed to loan up to 5 million, I guess. I don't know where the extra million is gonna come
Oh.
from if that materializes.
Sorry to interrupt.
Well,
Sorry.
I'd like to.
Okay,
continue.
sure. Sorry.
My estimate of debt service on $5 million is $300,000 to $400,000 a year.
Sure.
So, and I guess I would dispute that, future O and M is gonna be cheaper on a new plant.
Sure.
We've, found with a new plant to be just the opposite.
Yeah.
So that's anecdotal.
Sure.
But anyway, it looks to me just based on back of the envelope, that rates would have to increase by 2.5 to 3 to 4 times.
So first of all, one quick apology. There was a typo there. We have 385 customers. Sorry. I was thinking, how in the world could I have made that mistake? We didn't. It's 385 customers. Sorry. And so my
Okay.
apologies for that. That's our fault.
The point
it was
is,
just a typo.
I think a legitimate 20-year plan is important. I
Sure.
think all the things in CDPHE, if you're gonna have to do them anyway, it seems like this committee should see that stuff. And,
So I guess, Roy, I would say we're happy to put that together. That's not a problem. We don't mind. I mean, obviously it's something that needs to be done. I think what got us off on the wrong foot was the typo, 285 versus 385.
well, it's the debt service and it's,
Yeah.
I mean, it's everything.
So, okay, well, Roy will be happy to do that.
I don't know if your customers are prepared to have their rates double or triple. And maybe if there's an explanation for that, I'd like to see it.
Sure.
Or, do we have any, I don't know. I don't know if it's up to us to worry about that,
Yeah.
but that's my concern is what people are facing.
Roy, I
They
guess
don't
what I
know.
would ask is, I mean, obviously these things will be addressed and they're addressable and we worked out the financial modeling with the bank. Kind of like a pump thing where it's worst case scenario or things like that. I guess what I would say is this will work. It has to work. It can't not work. I mean, we have to do this upgrade. And if you guys would please look at it from our perspective, we're doing the best we can. We're a small system. And if we have to keep coming back for more iterations, I would just ask respectfully if you guys could let us move forward so that we can continue this process. And obviously, the CDPHE will be asking for these questions. And, we just we're upgrading a wastewater plant based on state health department requirements. And we're doing the very best we can. We believe that it's viable. The banks looked at models before they've approved the loan. They have to do that. And so if you want more information, we'd be glad to give it to you. But I guess what I would respectfully just ask is some grace in just getting this process moved forward. Because after all this, like you said, Roy, the CDPHE does look at this stuff anyway. And I do apologize for the typo on that spreadsheet.
So one of the concerns, I attended the CAC, as Angie, during the discussion was, what if the customers say, you know what, we're not going to pay anymore. And all of a sudden you're down the road or whatever, you're spending money and all these people are like, you know what, we voted and we're not going to spend a dime more. What happens then?
And I'm sorry to interrupt the response, but I think the same thing happens there as it happened to any of us. If we did a major necessary infrastructure upgrade and then the customers complain the rates are too high, the board changes over and they shut down the project. That's a risk for anyone that is kind of outside of our control because we have to make these kind of upgrades. So sorry to interrupt you, but I think that's a risk for everybody.
I also want to, I don't want to stop this conversation because it's a good conversation. However, I want to bring this back to the CAC motion, which was the applicant had their opportunity between the last CAC and this meeting here to provide the necessary information to demonstrate to your satisfaction that they had a financial plan, and we haven't talked about the sludge yet either. And if they haven't done that to your satisfaction, then the request was for you to develop conditions of approval. So if that is, the applicant needs to develop this and that and show it to whoever in order for us to say we are approving it. Not to come back to the Water Quality Committee again, unless that's what you guys vote on. That is within your powers to say that, but not to have the applicant work on more stuff and bring it back again and again, because to be quite frank, we've asked for this since June and we haven't gotten it. So I'm afraid that we're pushing this can down the road a little too much. That's just, I should not be putting my opinion in here, but I just want to bring us back to what that CAC motion was and try to fit something within that frame.
So Angie, June was very early on. I mean, I think we've been engaged for probably the last 3 months, and I've spoken with several board and committee members, Jonathan and Roy and Steve Schleicher and Welling Clark. And based on those conversations, I've put together things that I believe answered the questions. And I do believe we have answered the questions. There's always going to be more questions. There can't not be, I mean, the scope creep of a line of questions like that. I mean, it's almost endless. And I guess what I would say is this is going to be further reviewed by many other entities. And I think the fundamental intent and purpose of this review process, I would like to think that I've been diligent and have answered the questions. And I've worked directly with dissent board members who have had concerns. And I guess what I'd really just like to do is move forward in this process. And I appreciate everyone's thoughtfulness. It's actually helped us. So thank you for that. And there's been a lot of helpful suggestions, particularly from Jonathan, just in getting stuff done. So I thank you guys for that.
Let's talk sludge real quick.
Yeah.
I called Matt personally. I live in this area. So I raised the concern that it looked to me like the sludge was being covered up. And so we had that discussion. He said it was not. He indicated, again, this is the applicant, that there is a liner underneath all that sludge that's sitting there.
Yep.
And if I understood you right, they come and clean that out once every 3 to 5 years?
That's right. Every,
Okay.
yep, every,
And I said, I'd like, when they do clean it up, I'd like to visually inspect the liner
sure,
of
100%.
that.
Yep.
Because my well is
Sure.
in proximity to the
Sure,
sludge sitting
sure.
on the ground.
And
So I
more,
just want to disclose that to all the committee members.
and moreover, I would just say just to put a little more information, every 3 to 5 years, we have the sludge removed. The company that used to do it has gone out of business. We've started working with Terra Genesis. And as a new customer, they require testing. And I said, what are you testing for? They said heavy metals. I said, well, what in the world would that be a problem? They said it's usually for industrial. If you're residential, we're sure we're fine. But the soonest they can get to it is middle of January. But we've got them on the schedule to do that. And we believe everything's going to be good because previous companies and previous testing has been good also. So not a problem. Yep.
So I want to thank Angie for keeping us on the straight and narrow here for what we're looking at. So again, this board recommended it to go to the CAC. The CAC said, hey, we have some concerns, send it back to us for another motion and vote. Whether we recommend it to move forward or not, right? Or if we still have concerns, we can vote to approve it with the caveat that things could still be addressed. I want to hear from the committee about what all you guys you're thinking on this. I understand that they do have to submit a bunch of financial stuff, but we don't get to see that first. I get that. But they do have to submit it.
You can vote that you want to see it
Right.
first. It's just
Right.
that.
That's my point. If they gotta provide it anyway to CDPHE, why not do it now? I mean, if all that stuff is available, I think Matt said it was easy to do. I think that's a tough job, because I'm not sure how these numbers are gonna reconcile, but I'd sure like to see it on paper. A 20-year plan. The rate structure and what the anticipated rate structure is.
Yeah.
If you have that, we haven't seen it, and I think it's gonna be a real eye opener.
Okay.
So would you make the motion to table this until we got those 10 items?
I think that's the appropriate course of action, because even when we see it, we may not be able to move it forward.
Right.
But at a minimum, we need to have that information. If CDPHE needs it. And if Kevin's still on the line, I wasn't looking for this stuff. I mean, it's dumb luck that I saw the math didn't work, but it didn't. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. So, I don't know how else I could be satisfied, but I voted no last time. So if the group wants to do something different, that's.
Now, well, sorry for the typo and I apologize. That's embarrassing, but a 2 and a 3 and made the numbers differently, but we do have 385 customers. So.
Right.
It still doesn't explain how you're gonna come up with over $1 million over and above the loan, and how you're gonna service the debt. I did my calculations over 30 years. Maybe your bank's nicer than mine, but.
Yeah, we don't think it's gonna cost anywhere near the 6 million. So apologies for that confusion as well.
Okay.
I mean, it's gonna be closer to 3 and at a max, like 4.5, 5. So, I guess what I would say is, this is our business. This is what we do. And obviously we understand it, and the numbers do work, and the bank has looked at that. But I guess what I would say is, we're just trying to get this upgrade approved, and we would just really appreciate the opportunity to move forward. If somebody wants more, I guess what I would ask is we can simultaneously move forward and give you this stuff, because we just want to get this process done. There's so many different entities that we have to submit to in this process.
My question is, if you put a caveat on it and send it off, once it gets to the state, we never see any results of it anymore. So it's kind of out of our hands. If the state doesn't catch it, your neighbor suddenly, again, to Roy's point, I mean, you got to come up with the money for this thing. You have operating costs. It's sticker shock to somebody. But once it leaves here, we have no control of anything.
Right. Okay, online. Sorry, Angie. Who was online?
That was Kevin from Cherokee. I think it's good to see all this data, and as someone who runs a metro district, it's interesting to see how where other folks' costs are and how they distribute those costs among their customers. But I'm still very uncomfortable with going to this level of scrutiny on this particular facility when we've approved many other facilities without even scratching the surface of their financials, and even facilities for brand new developments that may, go under and leave a lift station with 10 customers at some point in the future. And we don't sort of require any financial, we don't require them to pull back the curtain on their financials and how realistic their projections are. So, I think this is a good discussion, but I'm just kind of uncomfortable with applying this much scrutiny to one development in particular when there's so many others that we don't even really look at.
Okay, Angie, go ahead. You had a question?
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Kevin. Any other comments? Jesse, do you have your hand up?
Yes, I do have my hand up.
Please go ahead.
Great discussion, certainly. I don't discount the affordability question and the finances that Roy's alluding to, but I have to say, I agree with Kevin on this one. This level of scrutiny, as far as I've been attending these meetings and chiming in, I don't think we've ever, as Kevin points out, pulled back that curtain on any applicant and dug down this deep. So I'm a bit apprehensive in doing this as well. He's going to have to prove it up, or Walden's going to have to prove it up to CDPHE, and however CDPHE views that financial plan of theirs, it'll be in their court to say yay or nay as the ultimate decision maker for the project. So certainly understand this isn't perfect in all respects, and there's lots of questions still outstanding, but I as long as the sludge issues have been addressed, I think we push it forward. Just my 2 cents.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, hearing none. So we're at the point where we need to make a motion. And Angie, I think I'm going to need your help on this. So can we can make a motion to table and ask for this. That's kind of one motion. And the other motion is, hey, we're going to approve this as is. They fulfilled the conditions set forth by the CAC, and we want to move forward. Those are the two options I'm hearing.
So yes, yes, but no.
No, and yes, okay. I just want to make sure I'm getting this right.
Make a motion to table it as Roy has suggested.
Right.
You could say that the applicant has fulfilled the concerns regarding financials and sludge.
Okay.
And move it to the CAC and say we're all good.
Right.
Or you can say, we will approve this with these conditions, and then we submit those conditions to CDPHE and they go with the applicant or the application.
For example, option C, we could say, hey, we're going to move this forward, but when the applicant submits to CDHP, we want to see these 10 financial items for our own review.
You wouldn't be able to review it, but you would say your motion will look something like, we approve this application on the condition that the applicant demonstrates these financial things to CDPHE.
They have to submit those, right?
Yes, but they do, but.
They have to, no matter what.
Yeah, they do, but that could be.
But we're saying
For
we didn't look
example.
at them to see.
I know, that's
right.
right.
Like
Oh,
that's
you could-
essentially what we're saying is that we didn't see it. So CDPHE make sure that you actually look at this
Okay,
information. Is that what we're saying?
you could do that.
Or we could say we have concerns over these 10 financial things to CDHP and leave it at that and let them do their review.
Draw their attention to it.
Right, draw attention to it. Thank you.
And then a second, the condition of approval could be something regarding the sludge,
Right.
making
Okay.
sure it's been cleaned up or whatever.
Which
Yeah.
would be would that be asking CDPHE to make sure the sludge is cleaned up, or was that like something that we would be responsible to verify?
We can't do it. It's a routine thing we do every 3 to 5 years. It's very routine.
Okay,
Hi, everybody. I'm John Leosados. I'm the transportation director, and this sort of falls under my purview. So that's why you've never seen me before, because I don't have anything like this. But yes, once we move it forward, we're done. So any sort of inspection or anything else would be on CDPHE. So you would say the motion something along the lines of, this is we approve, we recommend that the PPACG board approve contingent upon whatever you guys just said, the financials and the sludge. We would hope that CDPHE would ensure that these items have been dealt with appropriately. And then that's it. That would be what goes to the CAC. Hopefully the CAC would then approve it. We go to the board. And again, Commissioner Weissong's on the board, so you tell me what you guys would be looking for, that might be sufficient enough where the board would allow it to be on consent and it can move forward and not have the whole thing open up again. Because a part of what we ask all of you committees to do is to do all of the due diligence up front so that our board meetings don't end up becoming a 3-hour board meeting. And for those of you who had been around when we did the Broadmoor thing, right, remember how long that board meeting ended up being. So that's, I think, what we're doing. Did I answer the question correctly? Because I did come in halfway through, Angie.
No,
Okay.
I think that's good. Yeah. So I'm going to bring it back to the committee again for more discussion here, because I don't, and I'm going to start just personally. I'm going to be out there when this is getting cleaned up. I live just down the street, and I will report back to the Water Quality Committee on the sludge part of it. I'm happy to see this list. I didn't know CDHP had this 10-item list, so that gives me some level of comfort that I'm putting my faith more in them to do their job. So I would be inclined to do option C, what we've been talking about. I'd be inclined to recommend this with the conditions that CDPHE understand we have concerns about the sludge and the finances. That's where I'm at. But again, I want to bring it before everybody else and get input.
And I just want to be clear, your conditions of approval, if that's what you're saying, need to be clear so that I can write them out.
Sure.
Sludge and 10 items.
Well, I think I believe in kids. Keep it simple, stupid. So just that, but I want to hear everybody else's input before we get to that, and clean that language up, obviously. And I know it's not going to please everybody, but anybody else have comments about that?
I think it's kind of a clean way to do it. So like, Jesse and Kevin said, I mean, they need to move this thing forward. I mean, they have a non-compliant plant. I mean, don't want to hold them up on it. But I think just expressing the concerns are there to the state. Whatever happens, I did the best we could. Yeah. But again, I don't want to hold these people back from violating every month or.
Yeah, thank you.
I think I tend to agree with Kevin, Jesse, and Wally, especially because this is a water quality project, not a capacity expansion intended to serve, more development. I think since the focus is on water quality, I think that I'm comfortable with a little bit lower bar for the financials because they will have to figure it out somehow.
Okay. No, thank you. Good. Any other comment?
I just might have a suggestion as the applicant. I pulled up the Reg 22 implementation policy, and the 10 sections Angie read for the group is in a particular section. So as you're crafting the resolution, my suggestion might be just to point back to that one particular section in the implementation policy, which, if you have your pen, Angie, it's
I got it.
22.6 1 B.
XII?
There you go.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Adam. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead, Roy, please.
I'll try to be as brief as possible, but how this all started was that the Walden Corporation submitted a site application under the name of the Walden Water and Sanitation District, which, as far as I can tell, does not exist. So, but at some point, the Walden Corporation started corresponding with the state under the name, the Walden Water and Sanitation District. And then the state started writing back to the Walden Water and Sanitation District.
You're right.
So I think it's, I think to pass it off on the state and assume that they're gonna take a look at these 10 items is, it's a bit irresponsible for us when it's really our responsibility. And yeah, just because you didn't do it right in the past, doesn't mean you shouldn't at some point start doing it right in the future. So, you know, I don't really object to the Plan C, but I think we need to be very emphatic to say to the state, hey, nobody along the line has really checked this stuff, which we're supposed to, but make sure you guys do it, okay? Even though you're understaffed and you do the best you can. And security in particular has had a discharge permit administratively extended for what, 5, 6, 7 years? I don't even know. But I think it's like, as long as somebody checks it at some point in time.
Yeah.
And those people are aware that their rates are gonna go up.
Sure.
3 or 4-fold, and if
Mhm.
they're okay with it, you know.
Right.
Then
Based on what Roy said, do we have a contact person at CDPHE that you?
Yeah, on this particular application, I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
That we can follow up.
Sorry, guys, it's been an interesting conversation, but I was wondering if like the NMCI team can be excused.
You're done, you can go, man.
Yeah.
You guys are more interesting to us than we are to you. and I
Well,
get it.
yeah, I feel like there's gonna be a lot of back and forth.
I'm sorry.
that We're not,
You guys were interested in it.
well, we are, but.
We might serve it someday.
Good.
We might drink water with you guys someday.
Yeah,
I'll email you.
Okay,
for your
thank
next
you.
meeting.
Thanks all.
so is, back to Roy's point, thank you guys for being here.
Yeah.
Can we follow up with your contact person on this?
And what do you want?
Just say, hey, when it gets approved, or did you guys look at this? Do you guys have any questions or concerns about these 10 items with the sludge?
Yes, can you
Pro-
follow up with?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, can you please, that's
How
it.
was it
Okay.
addressed?
Right, how was it addressed?
Okay.
Okay,
we can-
so I'm gonna bring it back to, does someone wanna make a motion? That's relative, what I'm hearing is around option C.
Can we write out our conditions before
Right
we
now.
move?
You wanna write them down or have Angie write them for you?
Somehow, instead of like moving and trying to fumble through the conditions, can we all like kind of draft those conditions and then move to recommend for approval with those conditions?
We can, and I highly recommend we keep it very simple.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, not a
I'm
paragraph.
writing
Yeah.
right now.
Okay, so did you wanna make a motion on that?
I'm trying to think.
Sludge
It's not,
I think you could
don't
easily
yet.
just reference that section in there.
Sludge
and then
removal
by some
section.
certain date, proof that
Yeah,
the
so
sludge is
we
cleaned up.
move to recommend this for the BACG board approval or
Right,
safety
yep,
approval.
yep.
With the condition that our sign off on the Reg 22 document states the CDPHE or that the CDPHE's review should ensure that it complies with the requirements of whatever the financial
Yeah,
system numbering is. And I don't know this, and the sludge removal is performed.
Per CDPHE standards.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good.
And I would add at the beginning of this, that PPACG's Water Quality Committee has these concerns. And then your two items, right? So we recommend
Wait.
approval and then state who we are has these two concerns that you just stated.
Mhm.
If everyone's okay with those, drafting,
Remaining concerns.
right? And you can read this back to us and then we can say,
I
as
didn't write it word
stated.
for word. Okay, so I will type this up as you, with good wording. But so CDPHE should ensure that the applicant meets the requirements and the implementation policy, blah, 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 section, blah, 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 for financial, applicants using borrowed funds to finance treatment works, minimum requirements, which are those 10 things. So that one, and then secondly, that the sludge removal is performed per CDPHE standards.
Mhm.
And that the CDPHE follows up with us
Now
regarding.
that's on a,
Okay,
that'll be on.
I'll just email it.
Yeah, yeah. So she stated the motion and now you can say, I make a motion as stated by Angie.
Before that, there's a question that had come up maybe in August or one of the earlier meetings about fencing. And I haven't heard anything about having fencing. That may be part of the requirement from CDHE or whatever it is. Is that something that needs to be added in?
Done.
No, they
So I
added a fence.
I got it. Thank you.
Only
Bill, it's done.
a second, only around a portion of the site, is that right?
No, we've fenced in, we put we had to have the surveyor come out because, we've made some boundary adjustments and things when the charter school came in, so we just had to move it, but we've got it done.
Around the entire property?
It doesn't have to be a 6-foot fence, even though I
It's just,
highly recommended it, but
yeah, no, and eventually, in fairness, and Bill, that's a really good question. Eventually, it's gonna be a much smaller footprint, and so we have a fence around it. That's not a tall fence. It looks like a cattle fence, but there's no barbed wire on it. But eventually, there'll be a much bigger fence around the smaller facility in the future. So thanks
So
for,
the entire site,
yeah,
basically.
right, exactly, yep.
I will also let you guys know, I did talk to CDPHE about that when it initially came up. And, they said we could make a condition of approval for a fence if we wanted, but it had to be tied to the engineering requirements for this particular type of facility. And, for this particular type of facility, it was only required, and I don't have the specifics, but not the entire property. It was only a portion of the property.
So the sludge sitting there for 3 to 5 years is not.
No. Sorry, I'm sorry, Bill, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Every 3 to 5 years, we have the sludge removed. It doesn't sit there for 3 to 5 years. Just point of clarity. But yeah, it's fenced, yeah. I think that may have been what he was asking.
I guess my question, which could be a concern, is you have the sludge removed every 3 to 5 years, but
pumped out of the basin.
It's there. And what is the classification of the sludge? Of hazardous or whatever? Because again, back in the earlier meeting that this was discussed, there were neighborhood kids playing on the foot mile.
Well,
is what I heard.
Okay, no.
And so I guess you don't need a 6-foot fence, as John was saying. But is there any other requirement that it needs to be noted that this is a hazardous material or whatever it is, so that the neighbors, can explain to their kids, we don't want you playing in this because it is considered X, whatever.
So we've got
X is.
Yeah, so we have signs that we put up on the fence and, it's fenced and, I appreciate that though, Bill. I think we're in good shape though. I mean, did you need me to give more specificity? I mean, I guess there's a basin, so every 3 to 5 years, the sludge is pumped into a basin where it dries and it's been removed. The company that used to do Denala, I wasn't the POC for getting that particular work done. The name escapes me, but they've always just come and remove it. They spread it on the ground. They use it for agricultural purposes. Right now, they just need to test and verify exactly what has always been known, that it's residential only. And it's just never been a problem to pump it into the sludge basin and then have it removed. It's just that this company's out of business and we got a hiccup with now having a new company get aligned with us. So
Okay, I think he's asking if there was a, go ahead.
So it is a class B hazardous material, I think is the correct. So there is pathogen and stuff in there that you don't want to be touching.
Yeah.
So you don't want anybody in there or they could get really sick. So it is considered a hazardous material. My concern was the trail system in Walden led you right to it.
We've since.
And they've since changed that. So the trail system doesn't lead you right there. They've added gates and fencing. So.
And the reason why is because there was a lot of stuff that was being done on the trail. So there needed to be like a haul road, so to speak. And since then, that's been closed off. So, but a good question though, Bill, and it's a fair concern. Yeah, we have signs, yeah. In pretty good shape.
And I'm assuming that there's requirements for how many signs, what is listed on the sign.
All through CDP.
You know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So we have a motion.
I move to recommend for approval with the conditions as Angie stated previously.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Who's that?
Jesse.
Jesse.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for this discussion.
Will we be on the consent for the CAC?
It's not a consent, but you'll be on the
Okay.
agenda.
Okay, is that next week?
Yes, I'll,
Okay.
I emailed Adam.
Okay, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Someday, it's actually been really interesting. If you don't mind, I might stick around, just listen. If is that okay?
No, yeah, you can stick. Yeah.
'Cause I kind of like.
Let's see issue, yeah.
I don't know what that says about me, but I like kind of being with you guys.
No, and as the chair, I just want to thank everybody. This wasn't an easy project. This is probably the most difficult project in the 6.5 years I've been doing this. Because I thought the Seven Falls thing was easy, but again, thank you for, being professional in all of your comments. All right, item number 7, informational items, 208 plan.
Okay, so I thought I would have more to share on this by the time we got here. So you all know we're in process of updating 208 plan, and we worked with Brown and Caldwell on what we're calling that phase 1. And there's been little movement since that kind of wrapped up in the beginning of September. So for the second phase, we sent that for RFP, and I thought I was going to tell you who we're working with, but we're still working through some of the steps, so we're not there yet. But we went to RFP because we weren't sure if we might potentially get more funding during the process of implementing, or during the process of the 208 plan update. So we wanted to make sure that was covered. So we think we have a contractor selected, who you'll be hearing from more and working with more. But I can't tell you who that is yet because we didn't sign any contracts yet. So we're getting there. But it's Brown and Caldwell did not submit a proposal, so it won't be Brown and Caldwell moving forward. So more to come, and we're still working on it. Kind of where that is.
All right, thank you. Any questions on the 208 plan? Okay. Item number 8, member entity announcements. Any announcements from anybody? Okay, item 1. Item 9 is our meeting schedule. Angie kind of already went over that, right? We got third Wednesday next month.
Yeah, and
What date is that? Do we know
that's the week before Christmas, so if we don't have to have a meeting then,
Right, if
we will.
nothing's on the schedule right now, right? Nothing.
Not that I'm aware of,
Okay.
nothing's come through you guys.
Right. I want to make a note that Jared just brought food in for everybody to share. Oh, yeah, it looks good, thanks. Oh, yeah. Let's see what that, so it would be the 9th, no, sorry, it would be the 18th. Third, which one?
17th.
So 17th, thank you.
Is it, are
It
people
would be
around?
the 17th if it was,
Anyone not around for that? Or,
I'm here.
okay,
Okay,
for TBD.
and, okay. I want to, go ahead.
We actually might hold that meeting for the review of some 208 things, the maps and stuff that, but we can consider that as we move forward.
Okay. Cause you could probably send that out to all of us. and
It
we can
doesn't have to
look
be
at
a
it.
meeting.
Yeah. Yeah. So spoon, and then maybe I'll,
Then we'll see.
yeah. Okay. All right, if there's nothing else, I want to thank Angie for doing all this prep and everything. She works a lot of hours behind the scenes, helps me out a lot, so the SARC and everything else, so thank you for that, and your staff as well, and Jared, because normally he's keeping us, yeah. I didn't see him today, we had a lot of technical difficulties. All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Okay,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you, everybody.